ini yang introduction di. Pretty informal but formal. So very good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
I understand that some of you may not understand Bengali, and some, of course. So what I will try to do that is speak in English only. Sometimes I use in Bengali. Is it permissible? It's permissible, fine. Or full English, whatever you want, you feel free, so that I can also feel comfortable. So it should be full English or both English and Bengali. It's totally your decision. I have nothing to do with full English, okay? Fine. Achha, my name is already here. Debotosh Sinha, Department of Social Work, Vishwabharat itself. So I have an internal faculty. I am not an external one. And my student, you know his name, Dash. So he was my student long time back. So he requested me to take a session on research proposal, because the particular paper, research, social research, I teach in my department as well. And this is my, of course, an area of interest. As well as I take classes for PhD coursework and the same research, that is course 1. So I like this subject. I enjoy teaching. I don't know how much today you will be able to understand me, because research, of course, 2 hours, it's not a journey of 2 hours only. It's a long-term way to go to understand all the concepts of research. It's audible, no? But I'm saying it's audible.
Yes.
So it's a long way to go to understand all the concepts, but whatever best is possible within the stipulated time frame of 2.5 hours, like that. I'll try to make you clear as much as possible from my side, and I request you to understand as much as possible. In between, if you have any problem, you can always welcome. You're always welcome to ask me any questions, whatever you feel not able to understand. Interrupting me also. It's not that the end of the things you will ask. So in between, if you have anything to ask, you are always welcome. So is it clear to you all?
Yes.
Very. Now, how I will take the session? I have divided the session in 2 parts. Basically, it's a workshop, as Dashankar told me. It's a workshop. So it's not purely a lecture session. So workshop means, of course, you have to do something on your own, some practice session, of course. Am I right or wrong? So it's not clearly talking about everything, keep on talking on the topic itself. It's not good enough. It's not the objective of any workshop. So what I have decided is that first I will talk about research, very briefly, very brief introduction, because the topic is research proposal, how to write the research proposal. That was the topic given to me. You know that, no? Today's session is how to write the research report, a research proposal, the way you would like to put it. So I will give a brief introduction about the research, then I will say about what is all about the proposal. So it will cover what is research proposal, and then we'll come down to how to write research proposal, all the steps of research proposal or research report which you need for your MPhil or PhD or any of future research work. I don't know how many of you have done your PhDs and all, whatsoever it is, I'm not going into that. But for any research work, you have to follow those steps to complete to carry out your research work. So that I will talk about. Then I will give you an exercise. How many of you, as Daya told me, there's for 20 students. So I thought of making a group of 5 each, so 4 groups like that. Or but whosoever is present here will make a group, and I'll give you a topic, a research topic. So how you can fit all the steps into that particular topic. So that will make you clear how you write the research proposal. So that is basically a practice. Then you can present it for 10 minutes and all. Then we'll have a discussion. So the rest of the time we'll do that. So my introductory part, that my lecture won't take much time. Whatever, because I have my frame of reference, whatever I know what I'm going to talk to you. So most of the time we'll give you for your practice and then interactive session. So don't make it a very informal session, make it a very formal session. Feel free to ask questions. Don't take me as a teacher or something, because I'm the son of the soil. I'm just 3 kilometers away from my department. So Niketan. So nothing to be afraid of or nothing to be, I mean, no way you feel embarrassed or uncomfortable. Sorry, I will switch off the phone. I should have done it earlier. I'm very sorry. Please beg your pardon. What I was talking about, I just got distracted because of the phone. What I was telling? Yes, I am the son of the soil, so it's not that I am not an external member. I am very much an internal member, so nothing to feel discomfortable on your side. So feel very comfortable. Consider me as your elder brother. Don't consider me as a teacher or something like that. So that will be, I think, in that way, if you go on, the session will be more interesting and more comfortable and very formal. And I will try to make you everything in a very simple, very specific way, so that you can conceptualize the entire concept quite well, hopefully. Okay, fine. So up to this, you have any questions? এইটুকু পর্যন্ত কোনো প্রশ্ন যদি থাকে আমার জিজ্ঞেস করতে পারেন. Up to this, if you have any questions, you can ask me. You can ask me in Bengali. Don't worry. I'm fluent both in English and Bengali. So no problem. Bengali is the mother tongue, so there's nothing wrong with it. So if you have asked any question, you can ask me. যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে আমাকে এখন জিজ্ঞেস করতে পারেন. যতটুকু আমি বললাম আপাতত নেই. So I can go ahead. Fine. So we'll start with, as I said, research. So what you can do is, this particular point about research, there is no PowerPoint as such. Only I made the, not PowerPoint, only I have made the sort of a PowerPoint, only the steps of research proposal. Because research all will have a discussion session. I'll go very slowly so you can write down the points, which are very, very important for your clarity, for your understanding. So I'll go very slowly, very briefly, with understanding, so you can go and you can also conceptualize the entire things. Okay. Research, the word research, quote unquote. If you split the word research, it means re plus search. So now you don't reply. I can see this. Research, quote unquote. If you split it, it comes re plus search. I'm starting from very rudimentary level, right from the rudimentary level. Research, re plus search. Clear? What is the meaning of re? Again, reiterating. It's a better English, reiterating. Or don't go into all the hassles. You say re means again and again or time and again. Search means to look into certain things, or look out for certain things. Look into some things or look out for something. What is that something? Because if you say something which is very abstract. So what is that something? When you're talking about research, something means here a phenomenon. Here something means it doesn't mean this or this. So sir, something means phenomenon. Any social phenomenon. What are the social phenomena? There are so many surrounding us. Social phenomena. Take an example, poverty is a social phenomenon. You can take politicization, corruption. So many social phenomena. Beggary, prostitution. So any social problem, any social concern, any social issues, all are social phenomena. Student unrest, student agitation, student politics. I mean, it's endless. There are endless social concern. Problems of AIDS. Now again a social issue has come up, has brought into limelight, dengue, and then and in the process of death, number of deaths is increasing. That becomes a social concern. Health is a social concern. Mental health is a social concern. Physical health is also a social concern, because nowadays you see medical science has become so commercialized that all the time they are trying to making people aware. And as a result, we are getting afraid. Don't eat this, don't eat that. And ultimately, we are getting afraid of eating. So they are doing all trying to make you concerned about your health. So whatever and so many social issues and social concerns are existing in this world. They're endless, unending. Plenty. So
social phenomena, social issues.
Social phenomena. So I said research means re plus search. Search into look out or look into something. What is that something? That something is social phenomena. Social phenomena means social concern, social issues. Because we are all here basically from social sciences. Am I right? Either from economics or from social work or anything. I'm sure nobody is from physical science. All are from social science background. So we are mostly talking about social research. So obviously research means we are entangling the concept of social issues and social concerns. So social issues, social phenomena, as I gave you all examples, poverty, health, hygiene, agitation, politicization, politics, everything are social issues, social phenomena. So research means ultimately it's a scientific, logical interpretation of social phenomena. So research means scientific, logical interpretation of social phenomena. That's what you are doing. How many of you have done PhD? Tell me. Anybody has completed MPhil or PhD?
Yes.
You have done MPhil. PhD, fine. So you have, I don't want to know what your topic, but you had certain topic. On that particular topic, you have completed your PhD, right? So very logically, you have explained all your thesis, and then you were awarded. You have to go for a methodology, you have to define all the terms and concepts. That means you have to follow certain scientific steps. You have to complete, you have to done it with a scientific method. Maybe you have done use certain scaling techniques, some measurement, I don't know what you have done. But whatever you have done, very scientifically you have done it. And then your external or your internal examiner has gone through, scrutinized your thesis, and they thought you are eligible for awarding PhD degree. So what I'm trying to say that research means it's a logical and scientific or scientific and logical interpretation of social phenomena. How you are defining the social phenomena in a scientific manner. Defining the social phenomena in a scientific manner. That's why it is called research is a scientific and logical interpretation of any social phenomenon. That's a simpler examples. There, definition. There could be lot of definitions given by a lot of social scientists from time to time, but this is for your understanding and making you very simplified that research means scientific and logical interpretation of social facts or social phenomena the way you like to accept it. Clear what is research? I also said why it is called scientific, because you have to follow certain procedures. No? You have to follow certain procedures. You have to follow certain procedures. Nothing can be done haphazardly. You cannot do anything under the sky. You have to go everything in a very proper way, in a proper manner, in a scientific way. Okay, suppose, I'll tell you one thing. বাংলায় বললাম যদি সময় খুব বেশি লেগে যায় না, you knock me, okay, because I have to finish it off. So, okay, যদি বেশি টাইম লেগে যায় আমাকে একটু নক করে দেবেন, কারণ আমি তত খেয়াল রাখছি না। কি বলছিলাম? Where did I stop it? You have to follow, because I said research is a scientific investigation, scientific and logical. The two important words. Scientific means you have to follow certain procedures. Nothing you can done in this world haphazardly, right? You have to follow certain procedures. Take an example. If you want to do from physical science, all physical scientists, when they carry out their research in the laboratory, they have to go certain process, no? Whether it's physics, whether it's chemistry, whether it's zoology, they have to follow certain procedures. No? If I tell you, you dissect what I should say, dissect any insect or anything, what geologists do, or frog. If I tell you, can you do that? You cannot do that because you don't know the procedure, how to dissect it. When the students are studying MBBS, they have a dissection of human body, because they will come to know then how the whole entire physiology of all the organs of the system, how it's functioning, where it is located, where it is existing, everything. But we cannot do that because that is certain procedures. Similarly, physical scientists, they cannot do whatever we can do because they don't know our procedure. Because our procedures and their procedures are not the same. There are marked, remarkable differences between the two procedures, right? Physical science and social science, two are different, entirely different process. Physics has a different process, economics has a different process, sociology, of course, this all social science fall in the social science group, they have a different procedure. But they have to maintain certain procedures. So that's why I say it's a scientific and it has to be a logical. It has to be a logical. 2 plus 2, it becomes 4, no? It cannot be 5. But why it is 4, the mathematician can give you the logic. We don't know, of course, we are not the students of mathematics. But mathematics can prove it, why it is 2 plus 2 equal to 4, why not 5? Or why not 3? Because they logically will tell you. But we don't know that logic, because that is not our discipline. So every discipline has their own logic and interpretation and procedures. Humanities, their research process is different from our research process, right? We have coding, we have editing, we have research design, this and that. students from Bengali, students from English, they don't have anything. They simply go for a secondary, go to the library and they finish the library work. And we have to go to the field, collecting data, coding, वो data entry करना है, ये करना है, वो करना है, बहुत कुछ करना है. So that is a thing that, social science has got a different process, different procedures. Clear? That's why I said research is a scientific and logical interpretation of facts, or you can say social phenomena. Clear? What is called research? And every research, every discipline has got their own methods, own process, own procedures. So you cannot compare physical science with social science with humanities. Social science has got a separate methodology. And I think for your workshop is only for the methodology.
Yes.
So you are all of you are tuned with them, you are becoming tuned with that. So all you are being oriented about the methodological aspect of social research. But I said how you carry out the research. Suppose if I tell you you construct a house, you cannot do it haphazardly. No? First, what you have to do. I just give an example. You have to go to the architect. You have to go to the civil engineer for preparing a plan or layout. Where will be your bedroom? What is the size of the bedroom? What will be your drawing room? What is the size of the drawing room? So you will get a layout, and that layout will be executed by the laborers or masons or whatever you call it, or contractor, the way you call it. So accordingly, they will do it. They will execute that plan. But who is going to prepare that plan? The architect or the civil engineer. So simply with bricks and cement, you cannot construct a house. Okay, chalo, I today feel like construct a house. I got some bricks, I got some sand and got some cement and put it this way and you make a house. No, sorry, you cannot do that. There is a process. There is a plan. And that is to be executed. Then you make your own house. Your dream house. Like your dream girl. Who is called dream girl? In Hollywood, in Bollywood? Emma Malini. So now there is a book has been released, no? Beyond Dream Girl, very recently in Calcutta. So anyway, so you need a plan. So I said when you're talking about the house and all, so your dream house, you need your proper plan. Okay, fine. So that's all about your definition of research. Clear? Okay. Now I'll come to what are the characteristics of research. What are the characteristics of research? Fine. You can just write down the points. I'll explain it. First point is generality or universality. Generality or universality, because that is not in my pen drive. Okay. So as for giving you a little pen, just if you wish, it's not, and I'm not enforcing you that you have to write all the points. If you wish, you can. The characteristics of research. Because unless you know the characteristics of research, how you will put it into your practice when you are writing your research proposal. See, preparing a research proposal, you have to know the background. No? Whatever you do, you have to have a background. So unless you know the characteristics of research, how can you prepare your research proposal? That's why I'm trying to give a glimpse of it. I'm not going into the depth of it, but giving you a glimpse of it. So first point is generality or universality. What is the meaning of this? Universalization means anything which everybody is going to accept. Anything which is going to be accepted by everybody, then it becomes a generalization. Say for example, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. 3 into 3 multiplied by 3 equals to 9. So that is accepted everywhere in the world. Nobody can say in this world or in this earth that 3 into 3 equals to 10. Everybody has to accept it. Newton's gravitational law. If you throw anything above, it will come down. Right? Why? Because of gravitational force. So that is accepted, no? Everywhere in the world. Nobody can deny Newton's law, Newton's gravitational law, or Newton's third law. Every has equal reaction. Each and every particle has equal reaction. Anyway, so I'm just trying to give an example. So all these concepts are accepted by each and every one in this world, in this earth. That's why it is universalized. But if you carry out a study in Birbhum district on child labor, something you have done, maybe you can do it, you come out with certain conclusions. But that may not be the case for other districts. It may be possible, or may be the case for a Birbhum district. It may not be case for Bardhaman district, or may not be case for other state. So you cannot universalize your findings, not even in India, forgot the problem. But more the universalization, the better your research. But it's very difficult in social science. Why? Because in social science, we all do our experiment on human being. And human beings are always changing, always dynamic. But that is the basic difference between physical science. Physical science, everything can be done under control. They can control, no? They do all machine and appliances. So that you can control your air, you can control your pressure, you can control everything. But how can you control human being? Today I say something, tomorrow I will say something else. It's ever dynamic, ever changing. Human being, ever changing, always changes. What you are today, you may not be tomorrow. You may be something else after 10 years, after 5 years. When I was a little child, I was different. Then I became a student, I was different. Then I became a father, I was different. Then I was an old man, I was different. So every phase of life, human being is changing. So nothing can be universalized in social sciences because of our experiment all on human being. Whether it's economics, whether it's sociology, whether it's psychology, whether it's anthropology, whatever, any discipline in social science, you cannot generalize. But physical science, they can generalize because, as I said, they are doing all their work by controlling the environment. Everything is under their control, but nothing is under our control. Say, for example, today you have a maybe the interview is a interview or schedule or all the tools or techniques and all. Suppose today you interviewed somebody, he said something, and then tomorrow when you interview the same person and same question, he might say something else. So how can you generalize his statement? So you cannot generalize. Today I say something, tomorrow I say something else. There is no proof. So you cannot generalize it. So that's why what I'm trying to say, generalization is an important characteristic of science, but in social science, it is very difficult to generalize because of changing nature of human being, because our all experiment done on human being only. Clear? বুঝতে পারলেন কি বলতে বুঝতে পারছো কি বলতে পারছো আমি বলতে চাইছি clear crystal clear very good so generalization is a characteristic but in social science it is very difficult to generalize anything because of changing nature anyway first characteristics second characteristics verifiability or probability verifiability I'll go a little faster verifiability and probability verifiability oblique probability. It is somewhere related to generalization. Probability means which you can prove it. Verifiability means which you can verify it. Physical science, you can prove it, you can verify it. But in social science, it is very difficult to verify or prove anything as such. That's why I said generalization is very less or very bleak in social sciences, because nothing you can prove as such which is going to be accepted by you or accepted by others. Take a small example. If you come out with a finding on socio-economic condition of child labor, say for this is your topic, maybe a topic. So you come out with the findings that the children who are coming from the poor economic background, they are becoming child labor. Children who are coming from poor economic condition, they are becoming child labor, or they are child labor. Fine. But can you, all the time you can generalize it? But you can prove it. It's basically you are making assumptions on the basis of your data collected from the universe, right? You are making an assumption, but you cannot generalize it that has to be the cause. So, social science probability, the scope of probability and verifiability are very less. Because why? Because again the question comes, all our work related to human being. So it is very difficult to prove anything or verify anything. I think you will have some session on measurement of scales, where you will learn the validity, the verifiability, the authenticity of the scales and all. This is different part. But here what I am trying to say, verifiability and probability, important characteristics of science, but characteristics of research. But in social science, probability and verifiability, again, it's very difficult. You cannot prove it. Suppose you have done your PhD, some topic. You have collected some data. How many years back you have done it?
3 years.
3 years. So 3 years back you have collected your data. If you want to do the same topic with the same universal sample, you will have a different data. Am I right or wrong? You cannot get the same data. So automatically result will change, your findings will be changed. I did PhD maybe 20 years back with the data. If I do the same topic, PhD on the same topic, you will have a different data, different findings altogether. But science is not like that. Changes are there, errors are there, but less. So you cannot prove anything as such. Einstein's theory E is equal to mc square. That is when Einstein discovered, still it is accepted, no? It never changed, no? Energy is equal to mass into velocity. It never changed. It's still going on the same. Nobody can reject it. So that all are possible in social sciences, but in physical science, but not in social science. So verifiability and probability are very less. Right? If I ask you, where is your liver exist in your body? Which side? It is our right side. Liver is a right side. That is proved, Nobody can say the liver is on my left side. Heart is on the left side. Nobody can say the heart is on the right side. That is proved, ever proved. Time together, in future, years together, it will remain same. As long as human being exists in this world.
তাহলে আমার সঙ্গে ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডকে বললাম এসে বলতা হ্যাঁ না ভাই কেশবে সেবকে সেবকে বললাম বলে যে ইংরেজি ভাষাটা আপনাকে দেনি ওটাও দেবো আর কি ও ইংরেজি ভাষা আছে আচ্ছা আচ্ছা তাহলে ভালো আপনি তাহলে আমার বলবেন ইংরেজি ভাষা আমি তো বাংলায় পড়ি কাল আমার সঙ্গে দেখা আছে আসছি বসে হ্যাঁ
what I was trying to say. So that is proved. Years together, it will remain same. But our research work, what we have done 3 years back, 4 years back, it will change if I do it today. Again, because of changing nature of human being, changing nature of data, changing nature of universe, everything gets changed. So probability and verifiability is there. It's a characteristics, but it is less, what I should say, less burning in social sciences, not like physical science. Physical science, it's very solid. It's very solid because everything is under control. Here, nothing is under control. Anyway, third, cause and effect. Cause and effect. Cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship. These all are important characteristics of science. এই টাইম হয়ে গেলে আমাকে বলো কিন্তু হ্যাঁ আমি যদি খুব দেরি করে ফেলি কারণ অনেকগুলো আছে 11টা পয়েন্ট আছে হ্যাঁ তো বলো cause and effect relationship. আচ্ছা all of you are able to understand who are English speaking huh everyone fine so I don't think so my English is that bad to understand. It's okay, no?
Yes.
It's understandable.
Yes.
Good. Cause and effect relationship. If there is a cause and effect for everything in this world. If I clap it, then we will get the sound. So cause is clapping and sound is the effect. So everything, whatever you do, there is a cause and effect relationship. There is a statutory warning on the packet of the cigarette. No? Smoking is injurious to health. Tell who is the cause and what is the effect? Smoking is the cause and effect is the bad health. Right? But still we smoke, of course. Nobody listen to that. Consumption of alcohol is injurious to health. But still sometimes you drink. So, I mean, this is an example. So everything in this world, there is a cause and there is an effect. If you eat too much, there is going to be indigestion. So cause is consumption of food too much and indigestion is the effect. Or acidity, whatever it is. So everything in this world, there is a cause and effect relationship. Similarly, in social science also, there is a cause and effect relationship. Everything there is a cause. And from where you can get this cause and effect? That is from hypothesis. There is a separate chapter for you for research. Hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a tentative, testable statement regarding the relationship between two or more variables. You need not to write because that is not within the purview of your today's session right now. But hypothesis is in one way of testing your cause and effect. Smoking causes bad health. If you want to prove it, cause and effect means you have to prove it, no? How you prove it? Different story that you have to adopt for experimental design and all. Anyway, so cause and effect relationship is very, very important in social science. Whenever you carry out your research work or start your research work, there is always a cause and effect. Without cause and effect, you cannot establish your research. You try to also relate with your thesis because you have done your PhD. What I'm trying to say, whether it's relevant or irrelevant, you try to introspect yourself. So, cause and effect relationship is very, very important for social science, for any research, for physical science or for social science. Without cause and effect relationship or establishing cause and effect, you cannot establish your research. Clear? Fourth, ethical neutrality. Ethical neutrality. Fourth characteristics, ethical neutrality. See, there are certain ethics in research. There are certain ethics in research. What are those ethics? Or what is the, instead of going into those, what are the ethics? What do you understand by ethics? Can you tell me? What is the meaning of ethics?
Moral.
What is ethics?
Morality is the scale. Morality is the scale by which we can measure things.
Morality. Fine. Main what is the morality? Measurement is a different thing. Morality. So ethics means certain principles. Ethics means certain principles we must follow. Like medical ethics, medical science, they have to study, who are studying MBBS, they have a special paper on medical ethics and jurisprudence. Medical ethics and jurisprudence. Because medical science has some ethics. I don't know, of course, what are all those ethics. Only one ethics I know. If a doctor goes for another doctor for treatment, the other doctor never takes fees from the doctor. So doctor to doctor, there is no exchange of fees. That is one of the medical ethics I know. So there are a lot of other medical ethics also. But anyway, what I'm trying to say, ethics means there are certain principles. Every discipline, economic, social work, we have a social work, ethics and values. We always use the two words together, ethics and values. So every discipline has certain ethics, certain values, and especially social science and physical science. They have certain ethics and values. You know, I'm sure all of you know, in medical science or in pharmaceutical science in the medicines and all, if they want to carry out any research or anything on any animal, they have to take permission from the government of India for executing their research because of ethical reasons. You simply cannot kill any animal as you enjoy it. You have to prove it that you are killing that particular animal because from your academic point of view, from your research point of view, and for that there is the ethics committee. So even the Vishwa University, they have an ethical committee. I am the member of the ethics committee for science. So what are the ethics we have to follow for every discipline? So what is the ethics and values in social science researcher they have to follow? They have to follow, all social science researchers, not to be prejudiced. Not to be prejudiced. You have to be very objective, unbiased representation of your thoughts and facts. Unbiased representation of your thoughts and facts. So no prejudices. That is the most important ethical values every social scientist or growing social scientist like you, we are all people. So you are all the growing social scientists. You have to follow this principle or these values or these ethics, that whatever we see, whatever we listen, and whatever we do, that has to be reflected in my work. It cannot be prejudiced or cannot be, or what I should say, cannot be camouflaged. You cannot camouflage anything, or you cannot maneuver anything. Whatever you listen, whatever you see, whatever you observe, that should come out in your research work, right? So that is the principal ethics. So ethical neutrality. So ethically, all social scientists should be sound enough. And what is that? Unbiased judgment or unbiased representation of your facts and concepts and things. No maneuvering, no manipulation, no camouflage. That is called ethical neutrality. Ethically, you are neutral. Means you always go on the positive side. Not only positive or not on the negative. Rather, I should say, whatever you see, whatever you do, that should be reflected in your report. That is called ethical neutrality. So, In some of the PhD theses, not all the PhD theses, I have seen students have written, any thesis when I check, students has written what are the ethics and values he or she maintained during his research work. Have you done it? Have you done it in your thesis? Okay, you may not remember, but all the time the students don't do that. But there are some research scholars, they write at the end of their thesis the ethics and values they have followed during their research. So that is very, very important. Because you suppose you are doing some research on child labor, suppose you are doing some research on very sensitive issue like sex workers. That's a big social issue. Or you can do some research on hermaphrodite. Like আমরা বাংলায় বলি কি বলবো? কি বলবো? Hijra. So these are very sensitive social issues. Here you have to follow certain confidentiality. If you want to interview any sex workers for your research work, I must say, you have to follow certain principles. You cannot disclose everything, whatever you said outside, go outside and saying everything. No, you have to follow these ethics. Whatever I say, that will be kept confidential. Name will be kept confidential. You have to write X. X said. Who is? So there are certain social issues which are very sensitive. Say, for example, you are doing research on AIDS. Again, a very sensitive. Or any research on reproductive health of women. Very sensitive issues. Yes, people are doing. One of my students has done PhD on abortion. Yes, basically on abortion and infertility. Very sensitive issue. So once you are doing a PhD under my supervision, so I told her how you are carrying out your research, collecting data. She said it's very difficult, sir, because it's so confidential issue. They don't want to share with me. So you have to break your head to share all this, to get all the answer. Because abortion is a very sensitive issue, very personalized issue. But she did it ultimately and she awarded the PhD. You have any questions?
Sir, in my department, our senior professor was trying to.
Which is your department?
Education.
Education, fine.
Work on sexual harassment. He assigned this task to another student, and they have written letter to the head that we are not able to perform this education.
See, what I said, it's very difficult because ethically sometimes they may not allow you to enter into prostitutions. Sometimes they won't allow you to enter into the prostitutions. It's because even they allow, you have to follow lot of ethical values. Because you simply cannot write their thing in the thesis. You have to do it a very different way, not disclosing the name and different capacity. So that's what I said. Ethics in social research is very, very important. Sometimes ethical values you just cannot immerse in the sea or in the pond. You have to strictly follow those ethics. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult. There are certain social issues which you can do that need not require much ethical values like poverty or beggary. But I think all social issues you have to have ethics. Without ethical values, you cannot carry out or you cannot proceed for further research.
So, but professors and well-educated teachers, faculty, they are also biased. Because, for example, this case, the teachers of the department were very much angry on the professor that why he is forcing his work on the students. They what we can say that they motivated the students that write for the right change. And literally, their guidance changed.
I got your question. I will answer your question. None of us in this world are absolutely unbiased. Human being bound to be biased. ও বুকে হাত দিয়ে বলতে পারবে না যে আমি biased নই। তুমি বলতে পারবে না যে আমি biased নই। All of us in this world, if you are a human being, some biasness are inside. That is bound to come. So if you write in your thesis also the ethical values you have maintained, I will say you are writing for the sake of your examination, for the sake of your thesis. There are many things you have done which have not reflected. So absolute 100% ethical neutrality is beyond imagination. It's a utopic world. I am absolutely unbiased. Nobody can say I am unbiased.
Sir, I want to add one point. We should understand the difference between subjectivity and bias. There is a very thin line between these two words, subjectivity and bias. Subjectivity will be generated through our experience, socialization, our knowledge, information. And no any person can live without subjectivity. Everyone has this different caste, class, creed, region, so many things we have different. But in case of bias means purposefully, with a proper intention, we want to convert our result or we want to do some unnecessary focus. That's why without subjectivity, no one can do research. But if researcher will think that, then he can do research without bias. Means that we are talking, it is a subjectivity.
Okay, I'll come to this point. He is trying to differentiate between subjectivity and biasness. Okay, I understand. I will explain to your question. So our next point is objectivity versus subjectivity. Next characteristic is objectivity versus subjectivity. Objectivity versus subjectivity. Okay, so taking his question into account and entirely I will discuss this point. Objectivity versus subjectivity. It is said in the parlance of research that researcher should be, or research work should be very objective, or researcher should be objective in his or her work. Researcher, any research. It could be MPhil, it could be a project, it could be PhD, whatever. Any research activity should be very, very objective. But my question is that how much you can be objective in your research when basically you are experimenting on human beings. So it is very difficult to be 100% objective in your work. Even if you say, I have objectively done it, then you have to ask how much. Because 100% objectivity is not possible. Some elements of subjectivity is bound to come. You cannot deny that. You cannot defy that. It is bound to come. Clear? So no research work you can say it is purely objective, and basically in social sciences. Even in physical sciences also, physical scientists cannot say his research work is 100% objective. Because it is absolutely utopic. You are too optimistic. You are living in the utopic world if you think that you want to be absolutely objective. It's not possible. So some element of subjectivity will definitely creep into your research work. Now your question, okay, before that I will say, but my imploration, my suggestion, or not my suggestion, the research, social research say that all social scientists should be objective as much as possible. So the word is very important, as much as possible. So that is the mandate, that social researcher or social scientist should be objective in their work. Less subjectivity, more objectivity. Now question of biasness. He wants to have a difference. He wants to differentiate between biasness and subjectivity. Subjectivity to a great extent originates from your biasness. So biasness is the source, and on the basis of your subjectivity develops. Now sometimes we create biasness, what he's trying to say. Sometimes biasness not inherent. Sometimes biasness is inherent, but sometimes biasness not inherent. We develop it according to the situation. A very good question he asked. Sometimes biasness we develop according to the situation, and sometimes biasness is inherent. Say I give a very living example. The maid servant I have full time, she's totally anti-Muslims. If any friend of mine who is Muslim or whatever or Christian comes to my place having a tea and all, she will deliberately never wash that utensils, that cup, because Christians and Muslim or whoever has drunk this tea is not able. So that biasness is inherent. But there are certain biasness that you develop when you are doing your research according to the situation. And when biasness comes in, obviously subjectivity goes up. The less the biasness you develop or whatever is inherent, if you can keep it aside, the more you can be objective in your research. Clear? Am I able to make it clear? Yes, sir. Good, very good. So that is one point. Is it kota baje? আমরা কতক্ষণ যেতে পারি বলো তো, আমি ঠিক বুঝতে পারছি না। 11:30 টি ব্রেক। আর কিন্তু কথা হচ্ছে যে আমার তো আসল জায়গাটা আমি কিন্তু আসিনি এখন, সেটাই তুমি বলছি। হ্যাঁ, তাহলে আমি জাস্ট ওইগুলো একটুখানি করে বলে দিই। আচ্ছা, জাস্ট ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক গুলো লিখে নাও, আমি তো বলতে চাই তাহলে আসল জায়গাটা আসবো না। কোয়ালিটেটিভ ভার্সেস কোয়ান্টিটি, কোয়ালিটেটিভ ভার্সেস কোয়ান্টিটেটিভ, qualitative versus quantitative. One or two points I'll explain. Qualitative versus quantitative, I think I need not explain. Qualitative concept and quantitative concept. Qualitative concept means which you cannot measure, and quantitative concept means which you can measure. Like height, weight. This you can measure, age, income. But there are certain concepts like, if you ask me, do you believe in God? How can I explain it? Either I have to say yes or I have to say no. Either of the one, no. But you cannot ask me how much you believe in God. I cannot measure it. Or if I say I love you, how much you love me? 2 ounce, 3 ounce, 5 ounce, 5 kilograms. You cannot measure it. So these are the concepts which you cannot measure it. So the concept which unmeasurable will called qualitative concept, and the concept which are measurable, that is called quantitative. Clear? Very good. Research is cyclical in nature. Research is cyclical in nature. It means research is unending. Cyclical in nature means research is unending. There is no end of research. End of one research gives birth of another research. End of one research gives birth of another research. I did a research on causes of child labor, then you can start where I end. Why these causes? That could be the next questions. Because research means always the questions, always the interrogations. It's an investigation that you want to know. Research always means you want to know something. That means it's an interrogation. So where one research ends, another research begins. So that is called cyclical in nature. Adds new knowledge to the practice. Research adds new knowledge to the practice. The more you do research, the more your knowledge will be enhanced. The more you do research, the more your knowledge will be enhanced. Obviously, because the development, the phenomenal development of medical science is possible because of research. Medical science, so many research every time there is going on in medical science, in physical science, social science. So all the time research are going on. So the more the research, the more your enhancement of knowledge. The more your increase of knowledge, more your enlargement of horizon of knowledge. So that keeps on going. So more the research, the more the knowledge enhancement. That's why it's called adds new knowledge. More you study, more knowledge you gain, the more experience you will be. Fine. Next, conceptual paradigm. Conceptual paradigm. Conceptual paradigm. Conceptual paradigm means every research there is a concept. On the basis of that, you will carry on your study. Say for example, I said socio-economic condition of child labor in Birbhum district. So, what is the conceptual paradigm? Child labor and their socio-economic condition. That is the concept, and you are exploring that concept. You are hammering that concept, and you will come out with certain findings. What is the socio-economic condition? So, conceptual paradigm is child labor and their socio-economic condition. If I say socio-economic condition or psychological condition of sex workers, say for example, then what is the conceptual paradigm? Sex worker. What do you mean by sex worker? That is the concept. Simply if you say sex worker doesn't make any sense. Who are to be considered as sex workers? That is the concept. And then I said, what is the sex worker, the psychological condition or psychological situation. That's a concept. So, conceptual paradigm means every research has got concepts behind it. You have to define that. That is called conceptual paradigm in a nutshell. Because time is running out, you said come to your own thing. Our topic, main topic. Because why I am trying to say that unless these points are not very clear, you cannot develop your proposal. So conceptual paradigm is every research has a concept. Every research has a concept. If you want to do something on poverty, again there is a poverty is a concept. Simply you cannot say Gorib. But how do you define Gorib? How do you define poverty? So everything has to be defined. And that is called conceptual paradigm. And every research has the background of conceptual paradigm. So first you have to think of the concept, then you come down to your research. Sex workers, it has a huge concept behind. Huge concept. That's the thing. That's called conceptual paradigm. Then methodology. Every research has a big methodology. And that's why your workshop is this. Methodology. So every research has got a methodology. So I need not explain it because the whole workshop is on methodology. So a research means, as I said, every discipline has a different methodology. Social science has a different methodology, physical science has different, humanities have a different methodology. So methodology is very, very important. Self-evident truth, next point, self-evident truth. These 2 points I will explain, then give you a break. Self-evident truth, and lastly, measurement, and lastly, measurement. Self-evident truth, and lastly, measurement. This self-evident truth is something difficult to understand that I try to make you clear. Self-evident truth means self-evident truth. Why it is important? At the beginning I said research is a scientific investigation of any phenomenon. I use the word scientific, no? Right? The word scientific comes from where? Science.
Yes, sir.
Well, actually.
What I was trying to say? Scientific. I say research is a scientific and logical interpretation of facts. The word scientific has come from where? Science. Science to scientific. Now my question comes, what is your understanding about science? What do you mean by science?
Knowledge.
What do you understand by science? It's a big question. You want to say anything?
How does starting
True knowledge.
systematic
True knowledge, systematic,
accumulation of knowledge.
systematic accumulation of knowledge, true knowledge. You want to say add something?
Sir, I want to. I'm not dealing with the definition of science.
No, I'm not going for definition now because we don't have that much of time. Just simple understanding of science.
The empirical, logical, systematic understanding of
And simply empirical, simple empirical understanding, rightly she said accumulation of knowledge and all. Fine, all everybody is perfect, absolutely perfect. I'll go beyond that, like beyond dream level. I'll go beyond that. Science, we always think, no, there are two words that are always simultaneously used with science, no? Discovery and invention. But we always use these two words, no? In case of science, discovery and invention. Now, the question is, do you think that all scientists have come out with their experiment which is not existing in this world?
No.
What do you think so? Like Einstein, like Newton, or any scientist, any scientific discovery or invention, do you think that all scientists are coming out with their findings or with their knowledge which is not existing in this world?
No.
So the question is, science doesn't mean which is not existing. It's existing in this world, in this earth. It's our eyes which can find it out as and when. Then it becomes a science. I give an example. Newton's law was gravitational force. He came out that one day he was sitting in a garden and he saw that apple falling from the top. That gave him a clue why it is falling down. Why not it's going up? Then that came into his mind is because of there is certain forces. So before Newton also the phenomenon was existing. It is not that Newton was the first person to see it. Newton was the first person to see it and think it. Then it becomes a science. There are so many things that are happening in this world we are not observing, so it not becomes a science. So, say for example, we are not able to come out with a absolutely perfect medicine of cancer, right? But research is going on. I think maybe after maybe 50 years or 70 years, it may come out. Or it is very much existing in this world, the scientists are not able to find it out. So when they find it out, it doesn't mean that it's not existing. It is existing. So science means everything existing in this world, when and how we, a human being, can find it out and prove it. Not only find it out, and you have to prove it. Then it becomes a science. So this whole concept is called self-evident truth. Self-evident truth. So you have to understand that, you have to know the truth. The truth is in reality. Truth is not under the sky. Truth is, it's not like that. Truth is not persisting in this world. It is very much persisting in this world, as and when we can find it out and prove it, then it becomes a science. And that is the concept called self-evident truth. Clear? Any question? So after this we'll have a break. Any question?
Innovation of mobile, innovation of computer, or test tube based DBB technique.
Test tube
it was not already exist in the
But no, but egg and test tube baby means what? It's a mixture of, they are combining eggs and embryo in a test tube. The eggs are in embryo are there. It was there. But that particular doctor or particular person thought if it can be done outside. If it can be done outside, then it becomes a test tube baby. So embryo and eggs are existing. That phenomenon is there. The embryo, and when they are going to joining together, then give birth of a, or they can, or a woman can conceive. So that is existing. But outside, that's something else.
Sir, this we have talked regarding science and all that, but if we are talking about social science and we talk about the changing nature, so when we are talking about the changing nature, then how can we say that this truth is already, like, this is the reality, and how can we actually implement this self-evident truth in social science?
First of all, I am talking about science as a whole. I am not differentiating between social science and science as a whole. So, in case of, I give an example from physical science only, from Newton. So, similarly, in social science also, whatever you come out with something, it doesn't mean that it's not existing. It is existing. I said, to give an example, poor economic condition leads to child labor.
But sir, what we kept actually the base was that we have a changing nature. So if we are discovering anything right now, it may not be like valid what we are discovering tomorrow. So is it now the truth, actual truth that we are searching for, or there is some manipulation?
No, there is no manipulation. It is truth. What I am trying to say, truth is always existing. You forget whether it's physical science or life science or geological science or social science. Science means understanding the truth and prove it. When you proving it, that differentiation is there. Physical scientists prove it in different way, and their provability is more powerful. We cannot prove it in that way because we are doing experiment on a human being. But truth is there. That's what I am trying to say. Real provability is not possible in social science because we are doing a human being. But truth is existing. So the word itself says self-evident truth. Truth is existing. It's only how we can find it out. They have their own way, we have our own way. Social scientists have their different way, mathematical scientists have different way. We have our own different way. But truth is there. That's what I'm trying to say. So self-evident truth. That is a simple way to understand science. I don't want to give any definition now because that is not our aim. So right now we have a break. Next we will come to our main topic, research proposal. So I request you to give me more time to that. Research proposal. Any questions? Well,
Yeah, so one point.
Measurement, I don't want to spend much time because you have any session for measurement? Scaling technique? Oh. But that is not, but I'll give you a brief idea. Measurement means, see, physical science measurement is very simple, very easy, because everything is under control. All problem crops up when it comes to social science. How you measure the concept.
Actually, I think physical science is also part of social science. In some way, you can think.
Now, physical science is not part of social science, but you can say the philosophy of science. Every science has got a philosophy. Every science has got physics has got a philosophy.
In terms of that, physical science is also part of social science because
Yes,
it's also part of social things. But they are doing, but the way of
I got your question. See, whether you are a physicist or you are a chemist or you are a mathematician or statistician, nothing you can do without the society. Because you are the product of the society. You are part of the society. So you are not going into the jungle and doing it. You are very much in this society. So obviously some social influences are there. Some social influences, some social impact are there. That you cannot say. Einstein also cannot say. Einstein has all the instincts of human life because sex is a basic instinct of human life. Hunger, anger, all are basic instincts of human life. So definitely you are right. So physical scientist is not out of the society. They are part of the society. So there are local influence, of course, you cannot say that. Okay, what I'm trying to say, measurement. So measurement is very easy in physical science because it's controllable. All problem comes when it comes into social science. Social science measurement is very difficult. For that, we have a different scaling technique. There are different scales. Like, suppose if I ask you, you are from education department, no? Perception of students towards the discipline of education. Suppose this is a topic for research, simple, very hypothetical. Or if I say perception of social work practitioners towards their professions. If you ask me, what is your perception towards your profession or towards your discipline? Perception, how do you measure?
We have to take some variables.
We have to take some variables. We have to develop certain skills. See, there are two types of things. One is there are certain established skills, and some skills you can develop for your study. But to develop that skill, you have to first verify the validity and the reliability of the test which you have developed. But you can adopt some established scale like Bogadas scale, Likert scale, Likert scale. These are the scales you can refer to, you can adopt, you can use it. Because there is all established test validified and reliability is done. But if you want to develop certain skills, you have to test the reliability and the validity. So measurement, your question, measurement means there are certain concepts in social science for which you need to measure. You have to develop certain variables and certain scales. Of course, scales means certain variables. Like perception is a concept. So I can, if I take a Likert scale, very good, good, bad, average. Say for example, either I will say very good, or I will say bad, or I will say average, or something. So out of 4 choices, you have to say one. So if you ask this question, perception, 30 students of social worker, you will get 30 different answers. And then you quantify it. You say 20% people say students say their perception towards social work is bad. 30% say good. 40% say very good. So you measure it. Got my point? So how you quantify it? Through certain scales and variables. You can measure it. And that is the simple way of understanding measurement. So that's all about this. We will come to our main topic. This is our research proposal. Okay, so we'll have a tea break for 5-10 minutes, not beyond that. Because remember, you have to do a practice on the topic. Just for your understanding. কোথায় পিকচার চাও
Petrol kita kena share. 2 में बता रहे हैं 5 के परसेंट अगर उसने क्या है तो देखना प्रपोजल है तो एकदम खाता नहीं अंदर बैठ के अब तो साइन हो गया चल रहा है मस्त फिर समझो बैठे प्रपोजल कितना खींच रहे हो सारा ठंडी लग गई 19 पे चला रखा था ऐसी
किसने चलाया?
पता नहीं किसने चलाया